Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mormon Wives Season 2. This is the reunion. It's hosted by Nick Vale. We're going to learn a lot about the girls and where they've been. With that said, we do philosophy through pop culture. My name is Brittany Simon. Please be kind and compassionate. And just remember that these are real people. So let's use their life to learn more about ours.
Okay, everyone bring it in. Say a quick prayer.
Sorry. Okay.
How are you feeling?
I just gotta be positive.
I'm trying to look like a princess so I bitch people out.
30 seconds of room tone with Whitney, starting now.
This reunion's a little different in the sense that they're showing us the behind the scenes. They're like 90 minutes until the reunion. So it's kind of going to work like their show. So I assume this is going to be a really long episode of Mormon Wives.
Hi.
How you feeling? I don't even know what to feel. It'd definitely be a lot more fun if you were here. It's like Disneyland reunion.
So it looks like Whitney's on the phone with Demi. It looks like Demi decided to go to Disneyland instead of do the reunion.
Okay, there seems to be some confusion about who did what with Marciano on Vanderpump Villa.
Yeah.
Let's start with Demi.
Yeah.
What, you were there, Michaela, you were there, Layla, you were there, and Jen was also there. So, like, what did you guys see?
I know that their perception of us going into it was that we were swingers because that's what everyone thought. And that's was kind
The
of
people
her.
on Vanderpump Villa?
Yes, like the cast. And so I was just telling her, like, hey, you are kind of being extra flirty. And like in their mind, they think we're swingers. I'm more so worried about the way you're going to be perceived.
I don't know what I'm legally allowed to say, but there are some accusations out there right now. I actually have some receipts. I came prepared. I hid my phone in the couch.
Yeah, no, we definitely want receipts.
So these are from Marciano's phone.
Get excited, haha, baptism by fire. Demi writes, is this how you sweet talk all the ladies? He responds, LOL, I didn't realize I was sweet talking you.
Oh, this was a picture of oysters.
He writes, LOL, don't be a baby. She responds, it's no different than swallowing cum. So fun fact, Demi doesn't swallow, got it.
This is so far outside of my bubble because even though it could be inappropriate, it could just be like a fact. Like you ever talk to your friends or even your siblings, you're like, ugh, oysters, puke. It's literally like swallowing cum. Oh, also I should speed you up because I'm sure I can't add most of what I just saw into the edit. The group is together. The girls are out first. Jen is coming. She's behind the scenes and the boys are behind the scenes, right? The husbands. Jesse says, oh, I have my receipts about Demi and Marciano, but the DMs are like super PG. But everyone's like, oh my God, she said come. I don't know. Maybe it's just the bubble I'm in, but I just don't see how any of this is that big of a deal yet. Like I'd like to see some more evidence. Like this is just like gay flirting at this point. Like I could see her having the same conversation with one of her gay best friends.
Does he know about these messages? No. But I've already tried to tell him. He doesn't want to hear it.
Okay, so now question about has Britt seen the messages? And they're saying no. And then Jordan, I think this is Jordan, right? This is Jesse's partner. He says, like, I've tried to tell him about it, but he refuses to see it or acknowledge it. Is Brett really like refusing to acknowledge it, or is it that not that big of a deal?
And Demi replies, ha 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 ha, it ruined it forever. An eggplant emoji, water, droplets, and a clam.
Is it just because they're religious? Like this is a big deal? This is so tame to me. This is just how friends joke. This is how I talk to my girlfriends. I don't know.
Does this sound like how Demi talks?
I mean, I find them surprising, but then I'm also like, Demi is a very flirtatious person. Like,
That's not something you say when you're married.
I understand.
Oh my God. Is this not funny? This is so funny. Is this that big of a deal? I'm literally dying. This is not what you say to people when you're married. Yeah, I guess. You know what I realize is these girls, are they allowed to have friends that are boys? Because I just realized like in my religious bubble, like my brother doesn't have friends that are girls and his wife doesn't have friends that are boys. I mean, they're friendly with other couples and people have friends, but you know, they're not talking to their friends like this, but I am because I don't have a gender, doesn't play a role in my marriage. So like my partner and I both have friends that are all genders, so we don't think about it. But in this bubble, I guess it would be quite scandalous, but it's so hard to remember, like to even think to be in this bubble as a person. But I also feel like if there really is an issue, Brett should want to see those text messages because I think putting your head in the sand isn't healthy either. But it's so different.
Are they okay?
I
Are
understand
they
that.
appropriate?
Obviously, Whitney, you seem like you're friends with Demi, but like in just focusing on these messages alone, what do you think about those?
Yeah, I mean, I would never text some man those messages.
Yeah.
I don't like how she's being treated in the group. She was like, I need to turn a certain way. And you were like mocking her about being a cheater. And then you laughed. I'm like, what the fuck?
And I do it again.
Regardless of whatever.
It didn't Taylor cheat. Why is Taylor making fun of Demi for being a cheater if Taylor is also cheated? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? What is the difference here? There's no dignity in any of this, but also we don't know that she's cheated. So, and Marciano already said she didn't cheat. So I'm confused. The end of that season, Marciano says nothing happened. So why are you still going after Demi? Especially Jesse, who Marciano says he slept with. What is happening?
I notice you have a lot of rings on your finger, but not your wedding ring.
Oh,
Yeah, so Jordan and I are working through a lot of hard things at the moment. All I have to say is that I'm exposing so much of my life, and I'm just hoping that someone in my shoes may be able to relate to it. And I'm doing it to help other people, but also because it's my real life.
I mean, I have to ask, did you have sex with Marciano?
So, oh gosh, I need to hear this.
Move the whole chair. Stop. Just be quiet.
They definitely contradict.
So a lot of this story is unpacked in season 3.
Oh, I wasn't sure if there was gonna be a season 3. There is. Am I gonna review season 3? Oh, tell me in the comments, should I review it?
So I can't talk about it yet.
What do you think Jordan's thinking right now, backstage?
I'm sure he's anxious, nervous, sad. You know, we're both going through a lot right now. But I think he's willing to tell his truth too. And he's been very vulnerable throughout season 3. So we've both just laid it all out there.
Okay, I fucking hate television. See, YouTube would never be this way. YouTube drama, we would never, YouTube like toxicity and abuse would never, we would be like, put it all out there. The fact that they're like, you have to wait for season 3. Next time a YouTuber and I get into a fight, I'm gonna be like, wait till season 3. Like, this is crazy that we have to wait. Did you sleep with him, yes or no?
What made you want to go public with the whole swinging scandal?
Tay and I are getting divorced. We had an agreement, like all of us, and I did step out of that agreement, but I don't, like, no one was innocent.
Oh, I did step out of that agreement, i.e. I cheated.
Everyone has hooked up with, like, everyone in the situation.
I never wanted to do that. I feel like I almost had to, in a sense, to defend myself. I was actually talking to Miranda not long ago about it, of like, if we could go back, we would do things differently, right? And I still sit with that like guilt every single day, not knowing it was going to explode and being like, okay, I'm just going to say my truth. I get on, I say, hey, yes, did I have the affair? Yes. But also, another wife was sucking my husband's dick. We were like hooking up, and then we were making out and playing games and vice versa and videotape.
My girl, dude.
Okay, first of all, okay, so so it's like up and down. Taylor's like recounting the swinging scandal, and it's like really sad and really intense. But then she's like, another girl in the group was sucking my husband's dick, and I'm gonna stand up for myself. And then everyone's like so shy around sex. It's so interesting. Like, Dakota's like, that's my girl, dude. But like, is it your girl? Because when they announced Dakota under his name, it said Taylor's baby daddy. So I don't know if they're together or not in this reunion, but it's so funny how like giggly this whole group is around sex. Or like, you know, I get it because it's like kind of funny to be like, this girl was sucking my husband's dick. And I'm like, yeah, it is kind of a funny thing. But anyway, it's just kind of cute almost how they all react.
Winnie, do you hate Taylor?
I don't hate Taylor. I think we just have riffs and we just think differently sometimes.
How did the Mormon community welcome
God.
Mom Talk?
They didn't. Well,
Where-
I think people made fun of us, but I also think like people also wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
When did you realize that Mom Talk became like a cultural phenomenon?
Okay, you want to hear the stupidest thing that just hit my brain? This is so stupid. It's called Mom Talk. So of course all of them are moms. But for some reason, my brain still cannot conceptualize that these people are mothers. So I keep asking myself, wait, is Layla a mom? Wait, is Jessie a mom? Yes, Brittany, it's called Mom Talk. I am really struggling. Just now, when I saw Layla, she just showed a TikTok of Layla pregnant. I was like, Layla has kids? And I was like, I know Layla has kids. I promise you, it's not the COVID, long-term COVID brain fog. I just literally forget that these crazy toxic women are mothers. It's hard to realize like people this immature can raise the next generation, but I guess that was so many of our parents in a sense, right?
Can't you look back and realize that even though you felt the way you did, you could have handled it better?
I texted Macy before the event. I said, I'm not okay right now. I don't feel safe showing up to your event. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm supporting you from here. What was I supposed to do differently?
I think his question is like, even if you felt that way at that time, you could still feel bad that you weren't able to support one of your best friends on one of the biggest nights of her company. You can feel bad for that. You're able
And I feel like I've expressed that.
Okay, so this is a little different than the edit for season 2 because we talked about this issue between Whitney and Macy communicating and Whitney's inability to quite understand what they're looking for. But I think Whitney's allowed to say, I didn't want to violate my own values by coming to this event, but then she has to accept that this isn't what they want from friendship. And I think instead of Whitney saying I was a bad friend, just say like, I don't want this friendship where I'm not allowed to opt out of events when I don't feel safe. Because the way the conversation happened in the edit for season 2 didn't feel like this, where she didn't mention she had messaged Macy, at least I don't recall, that she had messaged Macy and said, I feel unsafe. If Whitney feels unsafe, she doesn't have to go to the event. But it feels like the girls don't accept any answer from Whitney in a sense. So maybe this is just a sign that they're not compatible friendship-wise, that they refuse to engage in reality where Whitney didn't feel unsafe. And to be fair, maybe Whitney was using it as like a cope, like an excuse. Like maybe that's the problem. Maybe the girls don't believe it. And because they don't believe it, they don't accept her lack of regret. Maybe she couldn't go back and regret it because she felt unsafe. I could see the conundrum there in this particular edit, this story, this way of telling the story.
It was the gaslighting to make me feel crazy for what I was feeling when I was actually 100% accurate. That is the betrayal.
Dakota, obviously, Taylor has some very still hurt feelings about that whole situation. Can you explain yourself? This does seem like a lot.
Yeah.
So why can't you just come clean?
This is your time, buddy.
This is your time to say, I'm
brother.
sorry.
He's got this. Come on, Dakota.
I hope he does.
He does. Let's manifest it.
He needs to apologize for
right now.
Taylor. Say sorry.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I freaking screwed up. And
boom, great. Accountability.
I didn't.
Pause. Okay, interesting. So Jordan says, boom, accountability. When Dakota says, I freaking screwed up. Okay, accountability starts with you admitting you did something wrong. It's not the accountability part. The accountability is now embodying the reality that you did something wrong and moving in a direction that allows you to right the wrong that was committed. Just like with AA, the first step is admitting you have a problem, but I think there's 12 steps to AA. So the first step to accountability is admitting you did something wrong, but there's like another 20 steps. And Dakota and a lot of people around the world think that like step 1 is the whole step.
I could tell that she was hurting. And in my eyes, I was kind of like, do I want to hurt her more right now? I think I just justified it in my head.
Nothing frustrates me more than when people say like, I lied because I didn't want to upset you, because like you deliver it in a way that sounds like you're doing something for them, but all you're doing is like something for yourself.
Right. So he's saying he sabotages it even though he loves Taylor. It's a part of your value system. When I say like, do you know right from wrong? I don't mean in some objective way. I mean subjectively within your own values. Do you know right from wrong? And are you going to do the right thing when temptation comes knocking? So when people have cycles of self-sabotage, they're traumatized enough to have flimsy values. I noticed that with my exes, with a particular ex, he had very loose values, very like shaky values. So when temptation came knocking, he always gave in. And it would always confuse me because I'm like, why do you have such good verbal values? Like verbally, you always say the right things, not always, but you know, generally you say the right things. But when you're actually faced with the temptation, why do you always do the bad thing? And I was like, well, you're traumatized. You had a hard childhood. Like I kept coming up with all these reasons why. But the truth is like you have shitty values. You don't have good values. You have, because values are subjective. They're not objective, right? Like I don't believe in God. I don't think God gave us universal values. I don't think nature gave us universal value. I think we choose which values are. That's why when you negotiate, when you're dating people, you have to agree to the values you agree on so you can have an expectation of your partner's behavior. My partner and I have shared values. So should temptation come my partner's way, I expect them to act on these shared values. And if they don't, then they lied to me or they're not the person I thought I married, because that's the point. If you're practicing radical honesty, if you're honest with your partner, you tell them your values, then I expect you to act in accordance to those values when temptation comes knocking. And this is the problem with religious bubbles. So many of us are raised in bubbles that are religious and they gave us a script, but the script isn't our values. It's just something we feel bullied to adhere to. But unless they're ours and embodied in our spirit, we're not actually going to bring them into action in our real life, right?
I also was coming from a very broken place too. Like I just got sober not that long. I'm not sure if I could even do a relationship right now. And I don't think I really understood that, if I'm being honest with you, because obviously when I was, in the height of my addiction, like sex, I could care less about. I'd rather get high. I spent 10 years of my life addicted to drugs. Like
he said, I've been addicted to drugs. I'd been addicted to drugs for 10 years. And he's basically saying, like, I don't have a relationship with myself. I don't know who I am. True. Which is why I think the girls in season 2, a few episodes ago, were saying, I wonder who Taylor would have been had she not met Dakota, right? But I think we are glossing over a little bit like substance abuse. Like that's a really big deal that you all are struggling with substance abuse. That's not like, that's very serious for them. Like not in a judgmental way. Like, I don't think we should be judging people who have addiction. I'm saying it must be very difficult.
To do what?
Like a relationship with me. Like, even though she committed to me, you know, like I'm a recovering addict. My biggest thing was like, hey, if you want to drink, you want to go party, I don't want that in my life. And she got drunk the next 3 nights in a row. I don't even know if you want this. Like, I don't even know if you can do this. So maybe I'll just kind of wait and see.
So he felt she wasn't committing. So he felt like he didn't have to commit. But then when they did commit and made a baby together, he also deceived and lied to her and kept lying to her. And that was the difference, is that you did enter into a union that was more secure and you did make a baby with her. You made a whole new consciousness in the universe, a new kid to live in this beautiful 2025. Like, you brought a life into the universe. Maybe that would have been the time to fess up to everything instead of doubling down.
Me doing what I was even doing during that point, I think was a way of almost like protecting myself, like from being hurt, which is, it's stupid, like, because the only person I hurt was Taylor.
I don't hear enough accountability from him. He doesn't get it. They're still not getting it. They're just not getting that's wrong. I wonder how long. Let me see if I can figure out. So it says the reunion was released July 1st, approximately 1 month and 2 weeks after the end of season 2. Oh. So they're still in it. Like, nothing's going to change in a month. Nothing's going to change in 6 months. Like, they're still in middle of everything.
And I didn't treat him the way he should have been treated. I'll take accountability on my part. I was awful and I was very reactive and mean because I think when you're lied to, so I just became so angry. Not to get revenge. If I wanted to get revenge, I'd go fuck someone, hurt someone. That's how you would hurt him. I'm hurting now because I trusted Dakota over myself, and I'm angry with myself because
she said I trusted Dakota over myself and I'm angry with myself. Yeah, I don't trust my partner over myself. I trust my partner as much as I trust myself. Do we see the difference? I don't trust anybody in my life more than I trust myself. I do not trust anybody else in my life as much as I trust myself, but I trust them all to varying degrees that are like pretty close. Like, some of the closest people in my life, I trust them very close to how I trust myself, but not literally, and especially not instead of myself, right? So I would like, that would hurt. That I understand why that hurts, to say I trusted you more than I trusted myself. It's kind of like being a kid and you trust your parents more than you trust yourself because they're older and wiser, until you realize you've got to trust yourself more than you trust your parents because your parents are probably wrong. Because unless the elder in their community is like deconstructing and remaining wise and engaging in wisdom, like, they're going to stagnate and they're going to become someone you surpass, right? Which in some ways we should always suppress our elders, but in other ways it'd be great if our elders could keep up and actually be responsible, you know, beacons in the community of wisdom, you know?
Because I knew he was lying, and he told me every day, and he would hold me as I'm sitting here crying like this to him, and he would say, I'm here and I'm safe and I'm telling you the truth. And
for her to say, like, are you sure nothing's going on? Are you sure you didn't do anything? And he's like, no, I didn't do anything. And then to realize he was lying to her, you can't come back from that, girly. You can't. You cannot trust this person. And this is why we can't lie to ourselves. Because when you stop lying to yourself, you won't make a life with somebody who's willing to lie to you. You know, I get it. Our friends, our family, they'll go through drama. But like, for the person who's doing life with you, who's supposed to be your partner in life, coming back from them lying to you about something like this, that's hard.
And in my mind, it's like, I almost felt like I was like, I'll do anything to just like have that opportunity to be with her and my family. And it's just so hard because that's like, I just went about everything the worst way.
I could forgive somebody in this position, but I couldn't trust them to do life with them anymore. But I would do everything I could to be a good co-parent. I would do everything I could to move on and be a good co-parent, because that kid matters more than anything right now. But you also shouldn't lose yourself to parenthood, right? So it's a balance. But I'll say that it's real. Like, this is real. We're watching real people with real emotions. Like, my heart is breaking for Dakota as a person, but it's not in any way breaking in terms of him losing Taylor. I do not feel bad that they've broken up. I feel bad that this is somebody's child who is raised in an environment that he lacked tools until this ripe age. Like, he didn't have the tools and continues to like struggle to get the tools. But he's right. Like, he's just figuring out things about himself he never knew. And this is why when you become a parent, you're supposed to be a little responsible about it, so you can get ready to raise that next generation. How are these two very broken people about to raise a new baby? Like, what could you know? And Taylor already has like 3 kids. These people should not be making babies. Like, from just an individual standpoint, they should be healing their inner child and having a relationship with themselves. That's why I say the best thing you can do as a parent sometimes is not have children.
Do you think you're capable of being a faithful and honest partner?
Yes, 100%. And especially now.
But just a reminder in their relationship that before she knew he was even lying, they were having problems. They were having problems before they even officially became a couple.
Do you think Dakota is capable of being a faithful and honest partner?
Maybe one day. If I were to answer today, no. I mean, I just found out new things weeks ago.
You know, Nick asked a really good question. Like, Taylor, do you think in the future or even with somebody else, he could be a good and honest partner? And she said, no. Even up to a couple of weeks ago, I learned things about him that made me doubt this, but maybe in the future he could be. Damn, what did she find out?
Yeah, she's pissed.
I know, there's just so much damage, dude.
Licking each other's faces isn't giving co-parenting. It's giving something more.
But at the end of the day, I cannot sit in the same bed with him and have peace.
It's going to have to stand up and do the right thing.
I don't really like Nick Vial on his podcast, but he's right. This is right. He's right here. Somebody in this dynamic has got to stand up and do the right thing, because obviously both of you are not doing the right thing right now. So one of you has to do it. Put down a boundary, be good co-parents, no more sex, period, the end.
And say no to each other, say no to the temptation. Whatever you guys decide, I hope you both are able to give each other grace and find some peace.
They're just in it. Just like I said a few episodes ago, I get it. When you're in it, you're in it. Until you're ready to let go, you won't.
I think everyone's a little bit scared of her, which they have either admitted to me or they feel like they owe something to her.
Taylor's the first one to want to bring other people with her. And she, to be honest, has so much going on in her life that she doesn't even care about the opportunities and the glitz and the glamour. She's like, you guys go do it.
Not really, but I'm sorry for the way people treated them. And that point, absolutely.
Brittany, do you think you're better than Taylor at taking accountability?
No, I don't think that I'm the one to judge that.
Ooh, okay. You know what's funny? So they've been rehashing a lot of the stuff from season 2 we already know, like Demi and wanting more money and wanting to throw Jesse out, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But I just realized, so Taylor will make that big CMA video about my friends didn't support me on this public post. Whitney will not go to Macy's party. And both girls are asked, do you regret that? And both girls are like, I do not regret how I feel or like what I did in the situation, but I feel bad that it like hurt people. And both are being treated a little differently. I noticed the girls support Taylor and forgive her faster, but don't support Whitney necessarily, though they did let her back in Mom Talk. But both of the girls did the same thing. They both don't want to apologize or regret anything they did because they felt like it was valid in the moment, but they regret the aftermath, the backlash, the consequence.
Equally good or equally bad?
I think that...
Well, I would say I'm very good at taking accountability, so I don't know if you're equal in that.
Well, I don't think I'm bad at taking accountability either.
Who thinks Taylor's good at taking accountability? Who thinks Whitney's good at taking accountability?
See, why is Whitney's accountability worse than Taylor's? They both said and did the same thing. What am I missing? Am I missing something?
I just think it's so double standard. I really do. I mean, you just sat here and asked me, do you feel like you justify your actions based off of my feelings?
Exactly. It's so interesting that when Taylor does it, it's okay, but when Whitney does it, it's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's someone who constantly belittles me and hurts me. So she justified in her feelings to treat me that way. I just feel like I'm being like called out by you. Like
I've heard Taylor take accountability. I don't think I've heard you take accountability from what I've seen.
Well, then I guess that's your opinion.
Damn, Whitney is like, Nick is going for Whitney right now.
Because I feel like I have. When one person's on the outs, it's like everybody gangs up on that one person.
When everyone ganged up on you, though, I had your back.
It's true. Taylor did have Whitney's back when everybody was ganging up on her. I do struggle with Whitney's communication style, and I think she struggles to see the girls. Whitney not going to Macy's thing is not as big a deal to me as Taylor posting for the public for 6 million people to go harass her friends. So I'm so surprised. Why are they so forgiving of what Taylor did?
Next clip you're about to see addresses sensitive and potentially triggering topics. Connor, I want to thank you in advance for what we're about to see and your bravery talking about it. I know it's not easy, and I just want to say thank you again.
Okay, so the boys have shuffled in, the husbands are there, and Connor is doing like a insight into porn addiction. You know, I think there's a lot of controversy around the idea of addiction to pornography, but I want people to understand like it's about not having a centered relationship with self. And I think there is a way to engage in sex work that is healthy. But often when you come from repressive backgrounds, you just have a very unhealthy relationship with it, which leads to a relationship like a porn addiction.
When I was a little boy, I was raped. When I was finally honest with that emotion and that memory, everything made sense. The validation I needed I hate that I did that to you.
Whoa. I did not see that coming. He basically just shared that he was assaulted as a child. I did not see that coming. And a way that he was lashing out was for that he was seeking validation. And I think there is something to be said about when infidelity occurs because of heavy trauma. What do we do? And I do think like this is where like a Dr. Kirkonda would come in and say infidelity is pretty common, but couples can heal from it, versus something like a Dakota and a Taylor, right? But at the same time, regardless of the trauma he had as a child, it's not, I know a lot of people that feel like their story was very similar, but they use it as an explanation for why they get to be abusive. And so I think like what's important is that he healed and got better. But I think it's okay for two things to be true at once, that the partner can handle the infidelity and has to break up the marriage, but that they can support their partner through what happened to them as a child, like as a friend, or just giving it to somebody else. I think it's hard because in some ways it's like, you have to stay with me even though I cheated because I was assaulted as a child. But another way to look at it is, I'm sorry that I hurt you because I was hurt and I could understand why you would want to leave. But I also want you to know that I'm going to get better and I hope you can stay. I think it's kind of complicated because I'm so like, wow, that's so difficult. That's so beyond comprehension, right? Like, but it's difficult too because it puts somebody in a position where it's like, well, that trauma is so intense. Now it feels like I can't hold you accountable. You can hold people accountable and still empathize with the fact that they were traumatized so deeply as children.
But I'm so proud that I was able to be honest with you and start working through some really, really hard stuff.
And I think we take it for granted as how hard it is to tell our partners about these things. I certainly struggled it with my life. I know married couples who definitely struggled. Like they got married their partners and could not tell them about these things until later. And I understand that, right? Like I think it's harder than we think it is because we live in the society we do. And I think for some of us, we're so open with some stuff, but we weren't always. And so I can imagine how you could be married to somebody you didn't tell this to. And I think there are some situations in which being married to somebody could mean keeping something like this from them and they could forgive you and move on. But for some people, I could see why it's too big of a thing not to tell me, because it feels like we built a relationship off of a version of you that isn't technically real. But this is why I say, like, how much of your trauma do you have to heal before you can consent to marrying somebody? Because if he knew this and kept it from her, he allowed her to marry him and have kids with him and start a life with him under like a false pretense in a sense. But I could be compassionate and open-minded to somebody still working through it. Yeah, there's something to be said about it. And I just know that this is why I kind of promote the idea of like making sure you heal a lot before getting married. But the problem with this bubble is they marry so young. So you don't even have the time to do it, you know? But wow, I'm proud of him for finally being able to say it. And he really didn't need to share it with the public, genuinely. But I think it's important to bring awareness to it. So I appreciate that part. But like, he certainly could have kept this private. It would have been his right.
I feel like it flips the script and like turns me into a victim when in this scenario, I'm not.
That's true. In the scenario of him cheating, he's not the victim. In the scenario of his childhood, he is. And I think that's really good to see from him because that's the distinction that's missing in a lot of these conversations.
And I know so many people carry experiences like that, even though they may not talk about them. For me, those experiences shaped me and developed really destructive habits, but they don't define who I am today. What matters is how we grow, how we find resilience, and how we support each other moving forward. And if anyone listening has been through something similar, I want them to know, I'm sorry. Healing is possible, and your story doesn't end with what happened to you.
I'm so sorry,
So
man.
sorry. Yeah, that's
So
terrible.
sorry that happened to you.
Did not know that.
It's so brave of you to share it too, because it will help people.
Okay. I don't think you understand the impact that you sharing that and being vulnerable is going to have. Like, I don't think it's one or two people. I think it's going to be a lot of people.
I think it's so important. But again, you don't owe the world your story. So if you want to keep it private, that's absolutely okay. But I appreciate him sharing.
I'm just so grateful that both of us have worked so hard to have what we have today. Not that we're perfect. Like, obviously we still fight. Like, we're human. Like, we're married. Like, if you don't fight, then fucking something's wrong. Like, you're gonna fight. We've worked so hard to what we have today that I know both of us would literally do anything to continue to cherish that.
So this is difficult. I want to zoom out a bit because we talk a lot about high compatibility on this channel and fighting. I don't define the time I've been with my partner as we don't engage in fighting. I think by the time we met each other, we had already dealt with a lot of our own problems. So with these people, like Dakota as an example, met Taylor when he didn't really know himself and Taylor was drinking and they didn't deal with their stuff first. I think when you deal with your stuff first, you get to join in unionship with somebody in which your relationship, quote, doesn't engage in like, quote, fighting in the same way. I mean, I fought in my other relationships, absolutely. But I also realized for myself, I didn't want to be in a relationship where we fought. It's one thing to have adult discussions in which we disagree or we're moving in different directions in a sense because we're both adults, but we always come back together. But we don't really like fight. So when people say, oh yeah, like we fight, it's normal in our relationship, I still struggle to know what that means because I know what it means when I fight with my siblings. I know what it means when I fight with my parents, but that's because there's just dysfunctionality. There's like issues there. I don't have those issues in my marriage. So we don't fight. And so I guess I get confused when people say like, oh yeah, we fight. Like if you're not married, like something's wrong with you if you're not fighting. I actually think something's wrong with you if you are fighting. But just because something's wrong with you doesn't mean you're a bad person. I think that's the thing is like you have to work on it. Yeah, I don't need to judge them. Like I'm glad they're working on it. Maybe they're the example of the kind of relationship in which infidelity doesn't necessarily mean divorce, but also you would have to be willing to face the dysfunctionality and move on from it and heal. And that's really, really rare. So in some ways, Whitney and Connor are rare because they're making it work. But I don't think normalizing fighting in relationships is good. Even though everybody says they do it, I think you're all doing it because you're unhealed and dysfunctional. And I guess I'm just lucky enough that I made the decision to only marry somebody I didn't fight with. But I made the decision because I had fought with my partners before and I didn't like it. And I kept thinking like, I don't want this to be my life. I don't want a life where I have to fight in my marriage. I want the marriage to be a really good, safe space.
Are you related to Ben Affleck?
I'm still wondering that.
You're still wondering?
Yes, genuinely. I thought at first it was a joke and I was like, are they serious? Like someone had mentioned they literally met him at a family reunion. So I was like stoked about it. And then I asked his grandpa and his grandpa was like, let me sit you down and tell you, yes, we are related to this person. And so, and you know how like with Mormons, they're huge on family history. So I was like, oh, maybe we are related. Like that isn't just a joke. But of course I mentioned it. Press ran with it. I ran with it maybe a little bit too much.
It kind of just got carried away.
Yes, I definitely did get carried away with it.
But no, I'm not related to him that I know of.
Okay, so Jen and Zach are now here, and it's just like really awkward about are you related to Ben Affleck or no? And Jen is just being like, she's so weird. I don't know what it is about Jen, but like she just seems off, even with the way they're telling this story now. Like she's acting like it's so funny and quirky, like she's drunk almost. It's not funny. Are you or are you not? Like I don't understand why they're still playing it up. Like why aren't you just saying like I was so embarrassed, like I literally thought it was real and it's not. She's still making jokes and I just don't like it, but here we are, whatever.
I dealt with something that a lot of pregnant women deal with, which is prenatal depression. And unfortunately, I had to go through that during one of also the hardest seasons of my life. I didn't want anyone to feel like they were the reason of this. It really is just like your body's going through so many changes. To be honest, I'm just grateful for all the love and support that I did receive.
I think Jen just said something so important. She said she was dealing with prenatal depression and your body is just going through so much. And that's the thing about a biological experience. Like your body is so separate from you and it's really going through stuff and it's really experiencing things and you're just along for the ride. And so I think it's so important to speak out because so many pregnant people suffer from prenatal depression, postpartum depression, and they are just dismissed, or people think they're exaggerating, or you know, people have the hardest first trimester, and they don't think about how hard it is on their body. Like I know so many women who, when they get pregnant, the first so many months or whatever is the worst time of their life. They can't do anything. They can't even like brush their teeth, and then it gets better the third trimester, which is so good. Which is where Jen seems to be at now. She seems to be okay now, which she expressed. But it is one of those things where I think we just don't talk about it enough. So we need to talk about it. Getting pregnant is so serious. Not only are you making a new baby to enter the universe, but like your body is about to go through it. And I know some people have great pregnancies. Some people do a great, like my mom had amazing pregnancies. I don't think in any of the 10 pregnancies, my mom had postpartum depression or prenatal depression. From my understanding, I certainly don't recall it myself as a child, but like my mom always brags about how good and easy her pregnancies were. And I believe her. It feels like she had a really good experience with pregnancy, but that's not everybody's experience. And so we have to remember that.
Also, as someone who's pretty critical of you season 1, I honestly felt like I was watching a new Zach.
Yeah.
Like, is this the new Zach?
And we had a lot of things in our marriage that still needed to be worked through. And that kind of just led to this big explosion, which was Chippendales and everything that happened there. I knew I hadn't been the best version of myself and who I wanted to show up for. And so until I do that, like there's no chance I was going to give up on the marriage. And so Mom Talk hasn't seen us for a couple months. And we do about 9 hours of therapy a week, just kind of working on individual.
Damn, that's a lot. I could not do that. Okay, so basically they're in therapy. They do lots of therapy every week, 9 hours. He said that they are working on things. It's not perfect, but they're working on it. I think this is what happens when you marry people who don't know themselves and they're going through stuff. I think that's why the divorce rate is so high. I don't think people have bad intentions. Like nobody gets married and thinks they're going to get divorced. But that's the problem. Nobody is thinking before they get married. Like seriously thinking. Like really thinking. You know, they're just going about it and they're falling in love and they're just kind of moving with the motions of things. But I want you to think about marriage, think about it and not fulfilling the fantasy and fulfilling the obligation. I want you to ask yourself, do you understand how serious this is to bring us together? And at the same time, like if you get a divorce, you get a divorce. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but wouldn't it be nice not to have to do the paperwork? Wouldn't it be nice to not do the paperwork, you know? So just think about these things before you get married, because otherwise you're going to have this.
I think I was very clear that it kind of felt a little bit calculated, and I have to give her credit for sending that. That couldn't have been easy.
Okay, so they keep doing this thing where they want to include Demi and the reunion because she's not here. So they keep going back to an individual interview he had with her. And they're talking about Jen's apology video, which for me, I don't know. I don't love it. I don't love Jen's communication style, but Demi said it felt calculated, but everything you guys are doing is calculated. You're on television. Hello. She said it must have been hard to do that. So she gave some credit to Jen. Now here's the question. What's the difference between being calculated and being thoughtful? And the difference is the outcome. Being thoughtful for somebody is to consider a good outcome. Being calculated is to try to play 4D chess. We should be thoughtful, not calculated. And I never know the difference with people on television because you'll all seem calculated. Demi seems calculated, Taylor seems calculated, and at the same time, I feel like they're obviously not always calculating, but there's definitely a thought in the back of their head that says, this is on TV, there's a man in the room, I'm being recorded, you know?
Sure, there was a level of genuineness to it to where she's like feeling like I really messed up and I need to make things right. But then I text her afterwards, invited her to my Christmas party and just said it might be a good, time to have these conversations. And she never responded.
Because she's busy, Demi. So Demi's like, I invited Jen to the Christmas party to have conversation, but she never responded. Yeah, because she was literally having a mental breakdown. Demi, catch up. Lock in, Demi. Inviting Jen was inappropriate. Jen just sent you this message saying, hey, I'm going through it. I need a break from mom talk. Why are you inviting her to the Christmas party? Talk about calculated, Demi. Talk about calculated.
Gosh.
How do you feel about what Demi had to say about all of that?
Well, I see why it could seem like I was running away from my issues, but that was just not the case. There was so much happening. I do have to say she's really good at deflecting. It's like she's telling everyone that I'm running away, yet where are you? You're not here.
Exactly, Demi. Where are you? You're not here. You're at Disneyland. Make it make sense.
But I've had those conversations now. And the reason why I didn't have that conversation with her during that time was because I was still struggling.
Obviously, I'm Jen's right. She should never have showed up to the Christmas party. I'm glad she didn't. I think it would have been so bad. It's really bad of Demi to even tempt Jen away from her mental health. To even tempt Jen to interact is so inappropriate. Why don't these people take temptation seriously?
And clearly she can't see that. And that girl is so good at playing chess. Like she was 4 steps ahead. She knew that I was going to confront her about Italy. She knew that I wasn't on her side. She tried to call me. I have receipts. And what I would say.
Receipts?
And Demi said the craziest things about Jessie. That she had no respect for her, that she was disgusting, that she wanted nothing to do with her.
This was her best friend.
And I turned to Jen and I said, if she's talking about Jessie that way, how do you think she's talking about you? To cover our own backs, we're just going to get the receipt on this.
Demi and I have very different ideas and different boundaries in our marriages. And what I value and what I really appreciate is like the open and honest communication and relationship that Demi and Brett share. I think it's amazing and it's something that I admire. And
they ask me about it, I'm just gonna not really say anything because I'm just gonna let you explain, because it's not my story to share, because that's what you personally went through. You know, because I have my truth too of just how I also felt uncomfortable.
30-minute long conversation about Demi gaslighting my wife, saying, you need to say this. If this happens, will you say this? And then when Jen wasn't willing to do that, suddenly there was a cease and desist.
Basically, they shared their receipts are nothing. PS, like their receipts are so bad. YouTubers, just major credit to YouTubers right now, because the way we gather receipts, we are so much better than TV. Their receipts are so bad. The context is confusing. The way they tell stories is confusing. The receipts are always half-assed. So shout out to the receipts, but on the internet. But they're going to a commercial break. So when they come back, it's going to ask us about the cease and desist, which allegedly Demi made towards Jen. We'll see about the details of that. But the 30-minute conversation that happened in the car, Zach pressed record on the cell phone. And basically Demi's just like coaching Jen on what to say if the cameras are on. And it's just obviously everyone's like very calculated, but Demi and Brett are obviously having conversations behind the scenes about how to show up on camera, how to have conversations, how to do these things. So I can't say that that's surprising, because even YouTubers do that, right? Again, we want to be thoughtful, not calculating. Thoughtful, not calculating. Okay? We want to be considerate. We don't want to be deceptional. Deception.
Specifically not talking about like Vanderpump Villa?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, obviously Demi's not here right now to...
No, receipts. If they don't give me a receipt of that cease and desist, I call bullshit. I need the receipt. This is where you take a screenshot and show me. You better have it.
Defend herself. But Whitney, obviously you've been close with Demi. Like, what do you...
That's it? Are we going to pivot? You can't say she had a cease and desist sent out and you're like, where's the receipt? You could just say that, right? What?
Think about all this.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to speak for Demi.
And I'm not saying Demi didn't do it. I'm not here to defend Demi, but I can't trust anybody on this couch.
But I think that is weird.
So this is Whitney getting ready for the reunion, and this is Demi like coaching her. But I think there is a difference between saying like, hey, just say this on camera. Like if it was my sibling and they asked me like, what should I say? I would give advice. But the difference is, did she ask? So if Whitney asked, then Demi's giving her advice. If Whitney didn't ask, then Demi is coaching. And that's the difference.
Kept giving her the benefit of the doubt. And it finally got to a point where I had to be done.
But that's the question with this group. They keep giving each other the benefit of the doubt, but like, when are you going to stop doing that for everybody?
But at some point as an adult, you need to be like, oh, my behavior it's hurting somebody.
Absolutely.
Like you can't just dismiss it and be dumbass.
And what did she say? You're a dumbass?
I'm dumbass and I'm ignorant. Like you can't just say I'm passionate.
I don't know about that ignorant word. I don't like that. I don't like, yeah, that's the problem, is like all of you are accountable for your words, but all of you have to learn. That's why I say I'm trying to get away from streamer language, because the best way to take accountability for me engaging in streamer language is to take it out of my vocabulary, especially in public as a public figure. But that's the problem. It's going to take me years to do that. That's why I try to do it before 40. And I'm 36. I'm like, okay, for the next 4 years, I'm going to train myself out of streamer language and on the internet. But see how long I'm giving myself, because I know I'm going to need it. Transitioning is hard. I'm autistic. Leave me alone. Okay. But it's because I want to be the adult in the room. I hope I'm not 40 years old and acting out like a crazy, you know what I mean? I want to stabilize and make sure that I'm not just like, your mom, you know what I mean? It's funny. Look, I love making your mom jokes, but eventually, gotta grow up, you know? So I just want to encourage that, I guess, in this conversation, is to say that taking accountability means also taking steps to change the behavior. And so I think all the girls are too mean and say too many things to each other and betray each other too often to be really upset that somebody else is doing it, instead of realizing it's us. We are the collective.
Jesse, going online, going on podcasts, you've talked shit about me, very hurtful things, which I would actually consider bullying as well. And then the way that Michaela treats me, like, oh, but it's okay.
I think that on podcasts, people genuinely asked us our experience with you.
Yeah, see, there's a double standard. I agree with Whitney. It is a double standard. And I would never be able to mentally survive in this group. My mental health would decline so quickly if I was in this group. Hello, everyone. Future editing Brittany here. Just want to give you a little trigger warning since the show didn't do it itself. Layla's going to talk about her eating disorder. She's also going to talk about self-harm and cutting. And there's even a scene where they tried to zoom up on her wrist where there should be a scar mark. Nothing is really like very graphic, but it still might be triggering for some people.
I've been skinny my whole life though. I feel like everyone's like concerned right now, but like I've been tiny my whole entire life.
Like, do you think there's a part of you that is still kind of, that struggles with body dysmorphia and...
Oh, 100%. Like I'm starting to look sick, like for some reason in my twisted brain.
You're like, okay, I'm on the right track.
That gives me like an endorphin rush. I think too, just living in Utah, the need to chase perfection when it's not attainable is such a bad thing here. Because like before I've had scars on my wrist and like they're kind of visible, but like they're not too bad.
Let
like
me
I've
see those ones.
I feel like I'm more like insecure about those ones.
Even though they're not very like apparent, just talking about it and showing it can feel triggering to people in my audience. So I want to be aware of that. Kind of surprised they didn't mention like a trigger warning. Even though they did it for Connor's story. I don't know what that's about. With that said, super proud of Layla for opening up because I think it was apparent that she must have been dealing with something, but at the same time, like people with eating disorders get to still live their life and it's a real struggle. And I'm still glad that she gets to show up and, you know, advocate for herself. I think sometimes online there's like this conversation, especially around people like Eugenia Cooney, like people with eating disorders shouldn't have a platform because it encourages other people to have eating disorders. But like everybody has problems they're dealing with every day and they're showing up and you never know what part of that is mental health and what part of it isn't. But to say people struggling with mental health shouldn't be able to have a job as a content creator is like ridiculous to me. So I'm proud of her for showing up and I'm proud of her for talking about it.
I've attempted to take my life multiple times and thought that I'd be better off dead than living the life that I do. And I think it just stems to just never feeling like I'm enough. I was told a lot that growing up. I think that's why I self-harm too better. I haven't self-harmed in a long time, which is good. I got my scars removed and I'm trying to move past that. One of the reasons why I wanted to get my scars removed is because my boys noticed it too. One day, my son Oliver noticed them on my legs and he's like, Mama, owies. And I was like, that's not me just falling. That was me doing something to myself and my kids noticed it and it could affect them.
Wow, that's so brave. Wow. I didn't know you get, she's talking about getting scars removed. I didn't know you could do that. And she said her child noticed like her scars on her legs. And so she got them removed. And that's so responsible. That's a very responsible parent thing to do, to try to remove self-harm memories from your body for your kids' sake. I think that's really brave. Obviously, not all things are removable. Not all of us can do that. I think there's a time to have open conversations with your kids about your struggles because your kids should know you're a person too. But I think that's a very nice gesture and cool. I learned something new today. You can remove scars. I didn't know that.
So that's kind of what snapped me out of it.
This is obviously affecting you. Why is it hitting you so hard?
I'm just a girl dad.
Aww.
Yeah.
You know, this group cries a lot. I will say for all of the patriarchal conversations, there's not a whole lot of toxic masculinity. These aren't very like macho men. A lot of these boys are in their feels. They're very soft boys in a lot of ways. And I really appreciate how much the men cry in this group and they're there for each other and they talk about traumas. And, you know, in many ways they are quite modern, which I appreciate.
How's everyone feeling?
So excited.
So
happy. This is like all she's wanted.
She talked about it since day one.
Jen's doing Dancing with the Stars and she's really excited. But we're bringing it to a close now for all the stories. There was a lot of rehashing of old stuff that I felt like we've already heard about. But we're coming to a close now.
Winnie, I know you wanted this.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I mean, obviously I'm happy for Jen. Like, I'll be there front and center rooting you on, girl.
And there is next season.
Yeah.
There is?
You never know.
I have one more surprise announcement for you.
Oh.
As it turns out, because you women are so adored, they are going to be sending 2 of you to Dancing with the Stars.
Taylor?
Are you ready for that second announcement?
Yeah, do it. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Who?
Whitney Levitt.
Okay, yay. Oh, so he announced who was getting on Dancing with the Stars. And first he did Jen. And then Whitney was so gracious about not going on. And now Whitney gets to go too. He kept it. What a sneaky sneak, Nick. Oh my God.
Guys, let's get up. Jen, you got to dance. You're going to
Bring it on. I might bring it on. This is what they want.
It's crazy you'll be competing against each other.
That'll be fun. I feel like that'll be fun.
And once again, I want to thank you for all being so vulnerable and so real with us. I know it wasn't easy. I can't wait for season 3.
Okay, so it's coming to an end. They're going to give us a sneak peek of season 3. I'll see how much I can add into the edit, but okay, this is it. Like, this is the end. We learned some things, but not really too much. This actually wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be, but that's because this show just wrapped up. They're going from season 2 to the reunion to season 3 very fast. So, oh Lord, I can't believe season 3 is happening.
Talk survived!
It's like a common theme in our friendship.
It's toxic men.
No.
No. I met with Marciano. He told me that you guys had sex.
Oh my fucking hell.
If I find anything else out, done.
I was being influenced.
Influenced by who?
Would you be open to lie detector tests?
You ready? Moment of truth.
He's literally sitting right here.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
We're not gonna have people coming and going. Why are you here today?
I'm gonna start my own mom talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your life a miserable fucking hell.
I'm fucking pissed.
Ugh, it's gonna be so toxic. Oh, they're gonna escalate. It's gonna be so toxic. Marciano and a lie detector test, like those things work. Ugh, this is gonna be so toxic. Am I gonna review this series? I don't know, girls. Oh my God, probably. Probably. I don't know. Sometimes I think I should, just review the whole series on my own and then make videos about it or like something like that. But at the same time, season 3, girl, I'm tempted. Okay, with that said, what did we learn? Everyone got some healing to do. Really proud of everyone coming out to share their stories. Really intense, really necessary, I think, for them and for us. But also, just a reminder, and I'm going to say it again because I think, people think otherwise. You are allowed to be private. You're also allowed to share. And you're the only person who gets to make that choice. Or at least you should be the only person making that choice. Hopefully nobody comes out with your stories. But super proud of everybody for sharing, and excited we watched the reunion, and excited for season 3. I guess. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Thank you for being here. Like, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment sections down below. And I guess I'll see you for season 3. All right. Bye. 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 Bye.